He was found the way we all hoped to go, peacefully, at home, resting, television glowing in the background. But the devil was in the details. The remote balanced too perfectly on his chest. The sandwich looked freshly made but was days old. And the television, frozen on a channel that had been cancelled months ago. Something about this scene just didn't add up. Charles Chuck Delaney had no enemies, no violent past, no history of illness that would suggest a sudden collapse. So why did his eyes show signs of panic? Why were there faint bruises behind his ears? And why, just hours after his funeral, did his daughter call police to say, "My dad didn't die peacefully. Someone killed him"? Welcome back to True Crime Hub. Today's story will pull you deep into a chilling web of deception, family betrayal, and a murder that almost got away with wearing the mask of peace. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. These stories aren't just about crime, they're about the people left behind, the pain that lingers, and the truth that fights to surface. The scene was immaculate. Too immaculate. Chuck's feet were resting neatly in slippers. The remote faced upward, perfectly aligned. A half sandwich sat on a plate. The TV was turned to a low-volume loop of static. It was Lorraine Haskins, the next-door neighbor, who found him. She had noticed the porch light still glowing 2 mornings in a row and no sign of Chuck walking his dog. I opened the door, and the smell hit me. Not decay, but bleach, she later told detectives. Chuck had been dead at least 48 hours by then, maybe more. But what disturbed Lorraine wasn't the body, it was the silence. No barking, no noise, not even a ticking clock. The air in the room felt staged, like a showroom waiting for a buyer. The coroner, Dr. Elena Farrow, had initially signed off on natural causes. "Looks like cardiac arrest," she stated. "No trauma, no hemorrhaging, basic wear and tear of an aging man." But Chuck's daughter, Melissa, insisted. "My father didn't watch that show. He was allergic to turkey, and he always locked his doors." That last detail stood out. The door had been unlocked. After pressure from the family, a second autopsy was authorized. This time, Dr. Farrow went deeper. Behind Chuck's eyelids, petechial hemorrhaging. Around his lips, microscopic abrasions. Beneath the fingernails, skin. Cause of death was quietly changed to homicide by smothering. Investigators went back to the scene, this time with a fine-tooth comb. Chuck's phone had been wiped. His laptop missing. The DVR system disabled. And oddly, the floor near the couch, professionally shampooed. Traces of Benadryl were found in the sandwich. Enough to sedate, not kill. An unopened prescription bottle of the same antihistamine was missing from Chuck's medicine cabinet. Downstairs in the basement, detectives found drag marks in the dust, leading away from the laundry room. One of Chuck's old bedsheets was missing, and bleach residue covered the washing machine drum. Someone had cleaned the scene, but not perfectly. Chuck was a Vietnam veteran turned accountant. Twice divorced. He had 2 children, Melissa, a nurse in Columbus, and Tyler, a troubled 23-year-old who had bounced between rehab centers and courtrooms. The siblings had been estranged for years. According to bank records, Chuck had recently transferred $8,000 to Tyler. 2 weeks later, Chuck visited a lawyer to amend his will, cutting Tyler out entirely. Melissa had been the only one present at that meeting. Had Tyler found out? Police obtained a warrant for Tyler's online records. What they found chilled them. How long does it take Benadryl to knock someone out? Ways to mimic heart attack. How to clean blood traces. Disabling DVR permanently. Tyler's phone pinged a cell tower near his father's home just 2 nights before the body was found. Then came the camera footage. A neighbor's Ring doorbell showed Tyler walking up Chuck's porch at 1:12 a.m. He left at 7:34 a.m., lugging a duffel bag. Tyler was brought in for questioning. He was calm. Too calm. "I haven't spoken to my dad in months," he claimed. When shown the doorbell footage, his face dropped. "I was just getting some stuff I left," he stammered. Under pressure, he began to fold. He claimed Chuck had invited him over. That they argued. That Chuck had passed out from stress. But as detectives pressed further, the timeline unraveled. Then, he whispered, "I didn't mean to kill him." The room fell silent. Tyler described everything in chilling detail. "I made the sandwich, added the Benadryl, and waited. He didn't notice anything. He fell asleep. I used a pillow. I thought he was going to wake up. But he didn't." He admitted he cleaned the scene, staged the remote and sandwich, and unplugged the DVR. He even confessed to taking Chuck's dog to a shelter under a fake name. Why? I needed the money. I thought once he was gone, everything would be fine. But nothing was fine. Not even close. The courtroom was packed. Tyler showed no emotion. Prosecutors detailed the premeditated nature of the murder. The drugging, the cleaning, the deletion of digital evidence. Melissa testified, shaking. I knew he would hurt someone. I just didn't think it would be our dad. The defense tried to argue mental instability, but the jury didn't buy it. Verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. Sentence, life without parole. Melissa now lives in her father's old house. She left the couch exactly where it was. It reminds me of who he was, she said. Chuck's dog, found safe, now lives with her. She's become an advocate for elder crime awareness and domestic family prevention. Just because someone's your child doesn't mean they're incapable of darkness, she told the press. Charles Chuck Delaney had no enemies, no violent past, no history of illness that would suggest a sudden collapse. So why did his eyes show signs of panic? Why were there faint bruises behind his ears? And why, just hours after his funeral, did his daughter call police to say, "My dad didn't die peacefully. Someone killed him"? To understand this crime, we must understand the roots. Tyler Delaney grew up bouncing between households. His mother battled alcoholism. His father, Chuck, tried to maintain a sense of structure, but his accountant's rigidity didn't mesh well with a son crying out for attention. Teachers described Tyler as bright, but angry. He lashed out when ignored, excelled when praised, and by age 14, he had already been arrested for vandalism. Melissa recalls, "We never got along. It always felt like he was keeping score." It wasn't just petty crime. At 16, Tyler allegedly hit a classmate with a wrench during an argument. No charges were filed. Chuck paid off the boy's family. It became a quiet family secret. That silence would cost Chuck his life. In college, Tyler convinced Chuck to open a trust fund for his education. Chuck reluctantly agreed, setting aside $20,000. Within 3 months, the account was empty. He never returned to school. Chuck withdrew emotional support. He told Tyler, "Figure it out on your own," Melissa said. That was the beginning of the end. Detectives uncovered that 2 months prior to Chuck's death, Tyler had searched for how to stage a death over 30 times. He downloaded police manuals, autopsy guidelines, and legal documents about inheritance laws. One file was named plan_final.pdf. Chuck's loyal golden retriever, Jasper, had vanished before police arrived. But Jasper had a microchip. When he was dropped at a shelter under the alias Rex, they scanned him. The name on the drop-off form? T. Delaney. Chuck's second ex-wife, Patricia, had once filed a restraining order against Tyler. He threatened to burn the house down, she wrote. He said, "One day you'll all regret turning on me." Her claims were dismissed in court. As part of his defense, Tyler underwent psychiatric evaluations. The report revealed narcissistic traits, antisocial behavior, and zero empathy. He scored 31 out of 40 on the hair psychopathy checklist. Melissa had warned her father countless times. "You're enabling him," she'd say. "He's going to hurt someone." She now lives with that guilt. "I didn't do enough. I should have done more." When the truth came out, media outlets swarmed the story. Headlines like "Killer Son Stages Peaceful Death" dominated national news. The town of MacArthur was stunned. Locals who knew Chuck couldn't believe someone so gentle had died in such brutality. While awaiting trial, Tyler wrote bizarre letters to old friends and relatives. In them, he blamed everyone but himself, Melissa, Patricia, even Chuck. One letter ended with, "I did what I had to do." Disturbingly, Tyler gained online followers who believed his story was one of desperation, not evil. Some even created fan pages claiming he was misunderstood. Melissa spoke out. "There's nothing misunderstood about smothering your father." Detailed courtroom dialogue, cross-examinations, surprise witnesses, forensic testimony, expert commentary. Criminologists explain the pattern of familial killers. Reenactments, visualized recreations of the murder night based on Tyler's confession. Audio logs, voicemails Chuck left days before his death, saying he felt watched. Forensic deep dive, breakdown of how the staged heart attack was scientifically disproven. Interviews with friends, Chuck's poker buddies described Tyler as moody and calculating. Community reaction, how the town memorialized Chuck with a bench near the park he loved. Law enforcement reflection, lead detective discusses why they didn't buy the initial death report. Therapy notes, Tyler's early therapists warned about a detachment from consequence. Victim impact statements. Melissa's raw, tear-filled courtroom letter. Chuck's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a lesson. A reminder that even love can be weaponized when paired with manipulation. That even family can harbor the darkest intentions. Melissa now runs a non-profit for victims of familial abuse. If my father's story helps one person, she says, then maybe there's something good left in all this. Local investigative reporter Kendra Boyle took an interest in the case. She uncovered emails between Tyler and a known forger in Kentucky, suggesting Tyler may have considered faking Chuck's will to gain more. Though unconfirmed, it raised questions about just how far he was willing to go. Kendra's articles painted Tyler as not just a desperate son, but a strategic manipulator. A notebook recovered from Tyler's apartment included chilling entries. He deserves this. No one sees what I do. Make it look peaceful. Natural. One page was a detailed timeline, meticulously outlining each step of the murder and cleanup. Forensic pathologist Dr. Lena Ross testified that Chuck was likely smothered while unconscious. There was no defensive injury. He never woke up. She explained that the pillow had trapped expelled air, creating a deceptive cause of death. Without Melissa's insistence, the murder might have gone unnoticed forever. Tyler's former roommate, Brad Jennings, came forward with a statement. He always talked about how money was the only thing that mattered. Brad claimed Tyler once joked, "If I had access to my dad's will, life would be simple." At Chuck's funeral, witnesses recalled Tyler acting strangely. He was smiling, one mourner said. Not mourning, almost satisfied. He reportedly stayed by the casket for hours, whispering to it. When asked what he was saying, he replied, "He finally understands." Melissa found a shredded letter in Chuck's office. After piecing it together, it appeared to be Chuck's unsent letter to Tyler. "I'm changing the will. I hope someday you'll forgive me." The letter's date, 1 week before the murder. During trial, the prosecution presented a forged will submitted days after Chuck's death. Handwriting analysts confirmed it was Tyler's. He had attempted to override the recent change Chuck had planned, but hadn't finalized yet. Chuck's phone had one last voice memo. "Tyler's been hanging around again. I don't feel right about it." The memo was never sent but backed Melissa's theory that her father feared for his safety. Tyler drafted an email to a friend titled Insurance Question. In it, he asked if policies paid out on natural deaths without autopsy. The email was never sent, but autosaved. A store near Chuck's house reported a bleach purchase 2 nights before his death. The security footage showed Tyler wearing a hoodie and surgical gloves. He paid in cash, but the barcode matched the bottle found in Chuck's laundry room. Melissa had once hired a PI to follow Tyler after he stole from Chuck's safe. The report warned that Tyler was unpredictable, obsessive, and manipulative. Chuck dismissed it as overblown paranoia. Chuck's last text to Melissa was cryptic. "You were right." She didn't respond until the next morning. By then, he was already dead. Chuck had installed a hidden camera in a smoke detector. It recorded partial footage of Tyler entering the home, holding gloves and a small bottle. The footage was grainy but undeniable. Dr. Rena Fogel, a criminal psychologist, described Tyler as a classic case of covert narcissism and displaced rage. He didn't just want his father dead, he wanted to control how the death was perceived. Chuck's poker friends said he often worried about Tyler. He always said, "Tyler's smart, too smart." One friend remembered Chuck's chilling words, "If I ever disappear, it's him." 2 months after sentencing, Tyler attempted to appeal his conviction, claiming evidence was circumstantial. The appeal was denied. The court ruled the evidence overwhelming and intentional. Weeks before Chuck's death, someone broke into his home. Nothing was stolen, but drawers were searched. Police now believe it was Tyler looking for the revised will. Tyler's mother, Patricia, broke her silence after the verdict. "I failed him. I saw it coming, but I thought Chuck was safer than me." Medical records revealed Tyler had been diagnosed with conduct disorder at 14. He never continued therapy. His file noted, "High risk of adult antisocial behavior." A documentary titled Silent Rage, the Delaney case aired on national TV. It exposed the overlooked signs, broken family dynamics, and systemic failures that let this crime happen. Melissa refused to be interviewed. Prison guards reported Tyler never asked about the outside world, never showed remorse, never mentioned his father again. One said, "He acts like none of it happened." Chuck's dog, Jasper, was eventually returned to Melissa. Jasper was lethargic, underfed, but alive. He was the only witness, Melissa said tearfully. The town held a memorial for Chuck in Veterans Park. A bench was installed beneath a cherry tree, engraved with, "He gave, he forgave, he was taken too soon." Melissa founded the Safekin Foundation, focused on elder protection and family abuse awareness. She hosts seminars, gives interviews, and counsels others. "This is how I keep him alive," she says. Tyler is serving life in maximum security. No parole, no visitors. He spends most of his time in silence. Alone. Forgotten. Chuck's murder wasn't just about money. It was about control. The false image of peace was Tyler's final insult. But that lie unraveled. Because love leaves behind questions. And Melissa kept asking. The recliner Chuck died in is still in Melissa's attic. She couldn't bring herself to throw it away. It's not just furniture. It's the last place he was alive. Melissa shared her father's story with True Crime Hub because she believes it might save another life. If even one family avoids tragedy by recognizing the signs, this pain means something. Not all killers wear masks. Some wear the face of your own blood. Stay alert. Ask questions. Push for answers. And always listen to your instincts. Charles Delaney loved fishing, old war movies, and lemon pie. He wasn't perfect, but he was kind. And in the end, his love outlived the evil that took him. Melissa ends her speech with this: he deserved peace. And now, he has it. In a dimly lit cell, just weeks before his appeal hearing, Ron made a quiet confession to his cellmate, a man later released who reported the eerie conversation. "They only saw what I wanted them to see," Ron said. The details he gave matched crime scene elements never made public. Could this be the break investigators needed? The prosecution reopened its case file, and for the first time, Ron's own words were entered as new evidence. Audio from a smuggled inmate phone call captured him speaking about the perfect crime and laughing when mentioning TV static. A forensic psychologist brought in by the state analyzed Ron's behavior and obsession with television. She testified that Ron may have used static and background noise as a psychological cover, disassociating himself from the murder. For him, it wasn't just about control. It was about performance. He'd often speak in metaphors about the final channel and watching someone fade out. This surreal language helped bolster the idea that his actions were rooted in a need for attention and narrative control, even in death. During a televised retrial hearing, Marlene's father took the stand. He had never spoken publicly. Through tears, he described watching Ron carry his daughter's casket. "He held our grief and wore it like a mask," he said. The courtroom sat silent. New jurors watched surveillance footage of Ron days before the death, smiling and laughing at the store while buying sleeping pills and duct tape. The contrast was chilling. Investigators also found a hidden online blog under a pseudonym that matched Ron's writing style. It had been updated weekly until the day of Marlene's death. The final entry read, "She doesn't know it yet, but this episode is ending. Fade to black." The post's timestamp and metadata tied it back to Ron's personal laptop. Defense attorneys tried to argue it was fiction, but the jury wasn't convinced. New witnesses came forward, former co-workers, ex-girlfriends, even a professor, sharing moments where Ron exhibited manipulative and controlling behavior. One described him as a man addicted to narrative. His old creative writing professor remembered his stories, always about perfect crimes, staged deaths, or unsolvable mysteries. He was the hero and villain in every tale, the professor noted. A VHS tape found in a box marked Memories held what seemed to be an innocent home video. But halfway through, it cut to a grainy, handheld recording of Marlene sleeping on the couch. Ron's voice whispered from behind the camera, still breathing, but not for long. The defense tried to claim it was a joke, but the prosecution used it as a cornerstone of premeditation. The community remained split. Some still believed Ron was innocent or framed, but most saw the overwhelming evidence mounting against him. Local radio shows debated the case daily. Social media blew up with hashtags like #JusticeForMarlene and #TheCouchCase. True crime podcasts released multi-part specials, drawing national attention. After 3 days of deliberation, the new jury delivered a unanimous verdict, guilty on all counts. Ron showed no emotion. His eyes remained fixed on the courtroom clock. Marlene's family wept. Her mother clutched her daughter's old scarf. Her brother, now older and taller, gave a victim impact statement that ended with, "You didn't just kill her. You tried to turn her into a lie. But the truth outlived you." Ron was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge described him as a man who tried to play God with perception. In a final statement, Ron simply said, "You watched my story. Now I'm turning off the screen." Years later, the house was sold to a new couple. They reported occasional flickers on the living room TV and a strange hum at midnight. Some say it's coincidence. Others say Marlene's story still lingers in that room. If this story disturbed you as much as it moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more hauntingly true stories, and ring the bell so you never miss the truth hidden beneath the surface. Detective ###, leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Ron planned this all along? Or was he simply a master manipulator caught in his own game? Pushpin, stay tuned for our next episode here on True Crime Hub, where the truth isn't just stranger than fiction, it's deadlier.